Wasted potential. These words are not only used to describe Yamcha and Gohan, but also season 2 of Attack on Titan. With only 12 episodes, and not so solid foundation, and a better budget compared to the first season, I thought that the second season was going to be better, and the writers weren't going to make the same mistakes they did in the first season. But God bless my pure soul for thinking that, because not only are the mistakes I ranted about in my previous video here, but they seem to be amplified. Because I don't know, maybe the writers thought that they were cooking, and I think it's all because of the fans glazing and globbling, and I think a lack of criticism at the time. I'm gonna be the voice of reason. Now, let's start with the plot summary, shall we? The scene starts off from where the last season ended, and they discover that there's a Titan hidden in the wall. Then Pastor Nick pulls up, clearly not surprised by this discovery, and tells them to not let sunlight touch it, clearly knowing more than everyone else here. So Hanjo tries to press him for answers, but this man shows his balls are bigger than these walls, and he ain't no snitch. And I will commend him for that. I won't lie. So then Hanjo gives up. And I'm surprised that it didn't occur to her to threaten him using the time in the walls that this guy was desperately trying so hard. But hey, what do I know, right? The scene shifts to 12 hours earlier, in a remote location where other members of the 104th Cadets are stationed. Meaning, while Eren was preparing to give Annie some deep strokes, Bertolt was out here thinking about his limited future with her. He effectively turned this man into like Sneeko and Adam 22. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemies, but hey, man, I was getting his get back, I guess. And we later discovered the Titans approaching, and damn, I'm not one to judge on looks, but these are some ugly as Titans. They quickly escape on horseback, but the Titans start bolting. But just look at their forms. I know eating humans is nice and everything, but have you guys ever considered switching careers to, I don't know, running? Because you guys would be winning gold. Now, this forces one of them to engage while the others split up. Now, the basic plan is this: they will split up and they will go to the surrounding villages and warn and evacuate the civilians. Now, this overall plan is pointless to say the least. Like, what if there's already Titans there? If Titans are drawn to humans, wouldn't it be safer to assume that some of them have already went to the villages? And most of these guys aren't even well equipped to deal with one. And there's no reason why Horseface didn't think about this. Some time passes and we're taken back to, well, since he's gonna die, I didn't bother remembering his name. But it's Mike. Earlier they said that he was only second only to Captain Levi. And we already know what type of beast Levi is. So tell me why, when the cameraman pans, we only see that this guy has only taken out 5 of the original 9 Titan. I mean, this should have been a light breeze for him. I don't know why he was saving them for. Anyway, the cameraman pans back and we get introduced to Zeke. And I won't lie, the first time I saw him, I was excited. I won't lie, because the show finally had its first black character.
What? That's got to be racist. There's no
But I
way.
won't lie, when Zeke jumped this man, I actually kind of felt bad for him, which is kind of rare because people died left, right, and center in this show. And I'm very much desensitized to it. Anyway, the cameraman pans and we're shown this scene where Ymir and Krista or Historia are riding on horseback, and Ymir expresses the same problems I had with their plan. So their leader shuts her up by saying,
Negative. When we find where they're coming in, I'll need someone to relay it to HQ.
like, this doesn't make any sense to me. Going to a place supposedly crawling with Titans, with people not properly geared up, isn't a smart decision for no one. And it's not like they had a way of plugging up the wall. It's clear as day that the writers wanted them to go there, but couldn't be bothered with coming up with a proper excuse. Anyways, night falls and they're tired, so they decide to look for shelter. And they find this abandoned castle. And this actively annoyed me to no end, because they would have been safer had they just climbed the wall that was literally right in front of them instead of risking the journey of being in by Titans. Anyways, Titans appear and the elites quickly get decimated, and just as the quote unquote main cast is in a dire situation, Ymir reveals that she's a Titan shifter as well and fights off the other Titan. I know this was supposed to be like a big shocker or reveal, but it felt lazy and not much of a shocker. I don't know why, man. Maybe it was a sudden shift in narrative and them giving her half an episode's worth of time. Anyways, I digress. She kills the Titans, but isn't smarter than a 5-year-old child and gets railed. Just when the situation is dire again, the scouts jump in to save her. Now, this is another problem I had with the show that I forgot to mention in my previous video. But Attack on Titan feels less like humanity's fight with the Titans and more like Eren's sandbox where he goes around kicking and punching, disregarding everyone's lives besides Levi, I guess, even though they are all veterans. And to prove me right, Eren gets his first kill with ODM gear in like season 2. Anyways, I discover that they climb up the wall because it's the safest option, obviously. But then out of nowhere, Rada starts tweaking out, wanting to kidnap Eren without using some candy in a white van. I mean, amateur behavior. They reveal their identities, and I'm watching this with no anticipation at all. Because we saw that Eren got no hands, and again, he got no training arc, no boost in power. So I'm already betting on Reiner. But as if to mess with me, Eren pulls out Annie's moves and beats Reiner. I'm looking at this surprised as hell because, like, where was this energy when you were fighting Annie? Anyways, Eren didn't realize that this was actually a 2v1, so he gets snuck and eventually kidnapped. The scouts arrive, riding on the wall, and I'm thinking to myself, like, this was an option? Why didn't they pull this out in season 1? Sure, you can argue that they were just trying to find the mole, but of the two supposed moles, they couldn't beat either of them. It was also better traveling on that supposed route. Anyways, the scouts pursue and Yami wants to take Crystal with her, so Rana waits a bit. Afterwards, she grabs her and they run away, with the scouts and Tynes behind them. Here's another thing that bothers me. After Irvin sees Rana running away, how the hell did he teleport in front of him? Does he have speed or something? Perhaps he can teleport? Anyways, Rana starts fighting off the Tynes and Eren escapes, but there are too many Tynes and they can't leave yet and everything's chaos. And in that chaos, the Titan that ate Eren's mother pulls up, and Hans, a better and stronger person than he was in the first season, goes to kill it and wins. No, that's what should have happened because this is a normal Titan that is not an abnormal, and this man can kill Titans properly with no fear, like he did in the first season. Anyway, he plays with this food, and until his food decides to eat him, Eren watches on in horror with no ability to save him because, his body is still healing. And thus, he can't transform, and that's the rules they've set for us. Now, so tell me, how the fuck does Eren magically heal? And my question is, can everyone do this? Can Rana do it? And if you can't, and Eren is the only one who can, to what limit does it limit him? Because if not, why doesn't he just do it all the time? Anyways, after Eren magically heals, instead of transforming, because he can transform, he punches a huge ass Titan. I don't know what he thought was gonna happen. He is not Superman. Anyways, the others feel a connection and start attacking that Titan. Eren runs away and then shouts at Reiner and Bertold. Then the Titans attack them. Seeing a way out, they all run away. Ymir stays behind to help. The season ends with them discovering that Titans are actually humans, and Armin speculates to Eren that he might be able to control Titans. Where do I begin with this? Now, my first issue with this season is that the script, again, has to juggle way too many characters and it doesn't know what to do with most of them, and it often feels like they're just tagging along for the ride. Like in this scene where time is wasted on Hanje and Armin, who are both the brains, discover and theorize about the same thing, just for both of them to waste even more time explaining to us what they found out when it was clear to everyone what it was. Anyway, or like how Kanye and Sasha are here in the final scene where they question Bertolt and Rainer for, I don't know, quote unquote, emotion. And although they gave us a shitty reason, and I sort of bad for Kanye a bit when we discovered that his mom was Italian, but that does not mean I was invested in his character or backstory. While on the topics of character, Yami and Krista are also on the chopping block because I didn't think that there would be other characters I hated more than Eren. Every single time they are on screen, I just wish for them to pass already. I had no prior feelings or thoughts about these two characters. So them wasting roughly 2 episodes, give or take, aggravated me to no end. And overall, the writers just suck ass at characterization. But it's just because they are lazy. Because Zeke's introduction was flawless, to say the least. Just look it up yourself. It has everything, and you get the sense of what type of person he is almost instantly, and you want to know more about him. Pause. And he just evokes this fear in you. Clearly, the writers can do it. Another person I forgot to mention in my previous video is Irvin, because this is one of the most well-rounded characters in AOT season 1 and 2. I understand his character, I understand how he views the world and how he views himself, which instantly raises his likability. I won't argue too much about the character development since most anime shows lack them and can still be a banger, but AOT is not one of them. Anyway, Eren is still the most annoying person with a rock for brains who treats others badly except for people he's afraid of. Like in this scene, after they suspect Reiner and Bertold, Eren goes off spouting childish nonsense like,
"What is wrong with you people? The man's been with us from the beginning. You don't just..."
and I hate Armin too, but use your head, my guy. And you just fought her a few days ago. Like Annie was the same. And as soon as Levi speaks up, Eren's spine becomes soft and he becomes shook. And what annoys me even more is that Even when it comes from the horse's mouth, it looks like bro still got PTSD from those kicks he took to the face. He still tries to play it off. Like, I know he's supposed to be this naive kid, clouded by rage, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have a brain. Anyways, another thing that I found weird was that Bertolt and Reiner didn't know that Annie got cooked already, or that she was discovered since it just happened, and I doubt they were told since Hanji forbid everyone from saying anything, and they only learned later due to Armin. So when Reiner said, I was surprised, maybe I missed something, I don't know. But also, there's this. The walls were clearly breached 5 years ago, right? And bro's out here talking about 3 years ago. I'm like, what the fuck? Maybe he's just tweaking out, but I don't know. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. Let's move on. You thought I'd do one of these without some Armin slander. You know, for a smart person, Armin's grasp of the obvious is shocking. As a drinker or Little Platoon famously put it, he's a dumb person's idea of what a smart person should be. Not only does he fail to be a proper strategist, but he continuously points out the obvious and doesn't come up with proper solutions at all. He makes bad calls as if they were good calls, and whenever there's a problem, he doesn't solve it, even though he's the first person to notice it. And Eren only lost because he said that he should get closer to the wall. Armin is clearly there to point at one direction just for the script to go the other way. And you guys have the audacity, the nerve, the gall even, to think that he is smart. Like, do better. To my next issue, the time. For it being less than half of the previous season's episode, these seemingly 12 episodes drag on for hours, or maybe that's just my perception of time being diluted by. But at the very least, I think 50%, give or take, is nothing more than filler. Or like how episode 3 gets filled with portions from episode 4. Moving on to the dialogue, just look at this.
Since when are you a geologist? Or a rock's just that fascinating? Looks like you're about to drool.
Not an ordinary one anyway. It's a hardened piece of skin left behind by the female Titan.
It didn't vanish?
No! This random fragment broke off when Annie reverted back to her human form. It didn't evaporate. It didn't simply go poof.
And this.
Let the ODM gear do what it was designed for.
Like, bitch, don't you think they know this? This dialogue feels cheaper than a prostitute. Wait, those are pretty expensive these days. Also, how the heck does inflation apply to them? Anyway, the dialogue here doesn't reveal anything to us about the characters or move the plot forward, nor does it sound natural or how normal people talk. But there is one scene that has such good dialogue, better than both seasons combined, enough to make you cream your pants. It's this scene.
Sorry for me. So then, you're not warriors or soldiers. You're just murderers. Psychotic mass murderers who snuffed out the lives of countless people that never did you any wrong.
Don't you think I'm aware of that fact? I don't need you shoving it down my goddamn throat!
Then stop acting like you've got any right to feel sorry for yourself! We're living in a hell you two created! Are you proud of yourselves? You're not one of us! You've never been! You're not even human anymore!
An apology? Is that what you hope to get out of calling us murderers? Want us to feel bad? Want us to take the blame? Who are you talking to? The people you thought you knew don't exist. They're dead! But hey, if screaming does it for you, go ahead and scream your goddamn head off!
You can just feel the tension even without any context. This shows that the writers have potential, but they're just lazy. And this is one of the only times I can accept Eren being angry. Because dude is always angry. Anyway, I don't want to judge on animation, but if I did, AOT gets a 2 out of 10. And that's me being generous, by the way. With a bigger budget than the previous season, and less episodes, and with at least 4 years. Not only did it drop in quality, but it was even worse. Overall, Attack on Titan, for me, is an undercooked chicken. While the plot is somewhat of a fresh of breath air, it has some of the shittiest executions with wasted potential. With the foundation from Season 1 and the introduction of a new threat, Season 2 should have been better than Season 1 by a long shot. But still, it fails to capitalize on this, and the writing is mediocre at best, with the execution being trash. For me, Season 2 is a 4 out of 10, but remember, it's okay to enjoy shitty writing, and that's it. What do you want, more?